It happened again. Monza, McLaren, and a team radio that sent shockwaves across the paddock. Only this time, it wasn't just a question of race strategy. It was a question of trust, a question of fairness, and a question of who McLaren really wants to win this title. Oscar Piastri led Lando Norris into the final laps of the Italian Grand Prix. He just jumped his teammate in the pits. Clean stop, 1.9 seconds. No drama. And then the call came, let Lando past. Wait, what? Let's rewind. McLaren had played a dangerous game all race. Hoping for a late safety car, they delayed both their drivers' pit stops. In theory, it was bold. In practice, it backfired. Piastri boxed first on lap 45. Smooth. He was ahead of Ferrari's Charles Leclerc, exactly as McLaren intended. Then came Norris just one lap later, but disaster struck. A front right wheel gun failure. His stop dragged out to 5.9 seconds, nearly 4 seconds slower than Oscar's. That was all it took. Norris rejoined behind, and McLaren panicked. From the pit wall came the now infamous order. Oscar's engineer Tom Stallard said calmly, "Oscar, this is a bit like Hungary last year. We pitted in this order for team reasons. Please let Lando past, and then you are free to race." Oscar's voice, though controlled, cracked with frustration. "I mean, we said a slow pit stop was part of racing, so I don't really get what's changed here. But if you really want me to do it, then I'll do it." He let him through. No drama on track, but inside the car, inside Oscar's mind, a volcano had started to rumble. Remember, this wasn't Hungary 2024. That time, the undercut was so powerful Norris would have passed anyway. But at Monza, without the pit stop error, Piastri was in second, fair and square. It was racing until it wasn't. This is where the story flipped from racing to politics. The order looked like fairness, like balancing out bad luck. But scratch a little deeper, and it starts to feel like something else, like favoritism, like stage management, like McLaren, desperate to avoid a repeat of the toxic Rosberg-Hamilton days, chose control over competition. Norris himself didn't fight it. He wasn't celebrating either. After his engineer Will Joseph apologized over the radio, Lando responded with silence. Later, when speaking to the press, he admitted, "Every now and again, we make mistakes as a team. Today was one of them. I did everything I could today. I tried to fight against Max. We had a good race, and he came out on top." That sounds diplomatic. Too diplomatic. Almost like someone who knows not to rattle the cage when things are finally going his way. Because, let's be honest, Norris had a terrible stroke of luck. But since when do teams swap places over pit stop mishaps? Isn't that part of racing, as Oscar rightly pointed out? McLaren tried to sell the Hungary reference, but Oscar wasn't buying it, and neither are the fans. Because in Hungary, the order made sense tactically. At Monza, it just looked like fixing something that didn't need to be fixed. Was it fair? Maybe. But was it consistent with McLaren's own racing principles? That's the uncomfortable question. And yet, Oscar did it. He moved over. Maybe because the championship lead was still intact, reduced to 31 points, but still strong. Maybe because peace within the team matters more right now than pride. Or maybe because he didn't want to play into the narrative of a team divided. But the cracks are showing. Oscar ended the race quietly. Bit of a tough one. Once the rear calmed down a bit, then it was all right. Bit lively through the race. Thanks for the effort. Not the easiest of weekends. Yeah, that's not anger. That's something worse. That's quiet resignation. And over in the Red Bull garage, Max Verstappen watched the drama unfold with a smirk. After his engineer told him about the swap, Max laughed. Just because he had a slow stop, his engineer, Giampiero Lambiase, tried to keep it neutral. It's not our business, but I guess it keeps it fair between the drivers in terms of the championship. How do you know your success won't be rewritten in the name of fairness? And if you're Lando Norris, how do you not wonder if your career-long loyalty is being rewarded with quiet bias? If a slower stop earns you a faster path, McLaren might say they're just balancing luck. But as Ben Anderson put it, this is a needless and silly look trying to stage manage this world championship. Let that sink in. Stage manage? We've been here before, haven't we? Mercedes tried to hold harmony with Hamilton and Rosberg. It ended in warfare. Ferrari played kingmaker games between Leclerc and Vettel. Chaos. Red Bull? Well, ask Mark Webber how team orders felt when they were always for the other guy. McLaren, whether they admit it or not, just stepped onto that same tightrope. And here's the dangerous part. They've now set a precedent. What happens next time? What if a mechanical glitch gives Oscar a win? Do they give it back to Lando out of fairness? What if Piastri loses the title by 2 points and this decision was the difference? Scott Mitchell-Malm warned it clearly. McLaren has now intervened directly to address an accidental intervention, and that opens the door for everything to be questioned. Every stop, every strategy, every call. Is it fair or is it favoritism? And what's fair anyway? If a team error costs one driver, do you fix it in real time or accept that racing is messy, unfair, brutal? Because every attempt to fix one moment creates a ripple that warps the next. McLaren's trying to be perfect in a sport built on chaos. And the irony? They might have made things worse. As Valentin Korunji mockingly wrote, next race, McLaren must send out Piastri with a faulty engine to make up for what happened at Zandvoort. Or order Norris to go off into the grass. Ridiculous? Sure. But that's where you end up when fairness becomes manipulation. Oscar Piastri isn't making noise. Not yet. But the sigh in his voice said more than 1,000 angry words. Lando Norris, usually cheerful and cheeky, kept it cold. No celebration, just a shrug. I felt like I was there for quite a long time. I tried to fight against Max. We had a good race and he came out on top. No mention of Oscar. No thanks for the place, just business. So, what happens next? Will Oscar fight back harder? Will McLaren dare issue another order? Will Lando return the favor if the tables turn? Or have we already crossed a line one that can't be uncrossed? Let's not pretend this is over. The title fight is tightening. The gloves are coming off. And the cracks inside McLaren's bright orange armor are starting to glow. This was just one race, but it might be the moment that changed everything. So now we ask you, the fans, the diehards, the ones who live for every 10th of a second, was McLaren right to swap their drivers? Or have they just picked their champion? Let us know in the comments, because this is going to get spicy.